It started on a crisp October evening when the veil between seasons thinned, and the whispers of winter began to chill the spine. I had always been fascinated by the obscure and forgotten. So when I first heard about the house, without windows nestled at the end of Willow Lane, it wasn't fear, but curiosity that pulled me towards it. The locals avoided speaking of it, merely exchanging glances that spoke volumes of shared, silent horror. The house, they said, had stood there for as long as anyone could remember. Its history as murky and obscured as its dark, windowless facades. They warned me, with earnest eyes, to steer clear. But warnings often fuel the desires they mean to quell. I approached the house as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the world into a deep, unsettling orange. The structure loomed like a shadow against the fading light, its surface a seamless, uninterrupted black. No windows, no way to peer inside, as if it had been designed to keep its secrets locked away from prying eyes. The air grew colder as I neared the front door, a heavy wooden thing, surprisingly well maintained amidst the decay. With a hesitant hand, I pushed it open. The door groaned on its hinges, an unwelcome yet anticipated greeting. Inside, the air was stale, thick with the scent of old wood and something faintly metallic. The interior was darker than the twilight outside. I flicked on my flashlight, and the beam cut through the darkness like a solid thing. The walls were lined with old portraits, faces watching from the past, eyes that seemed to follow my every move. Each room was a repetition of the last, oppressive, suffocating, with an ever-present sense of being observed. It was in the back of the house that I found the staircase leading downwards. The basement, I thought, might hold some clue as to why this house was so feared. Each step creaked under my weight, the sound unnervingly loud in the encompassing silence. When my feet finally found the dirt floor, the air turned colder, the back of my neck prickling with the electricity of unseen eyes. The basement was expansive, far larger than the house above suggested. My light seemed to swallow up in the darkness, as if the shadows themselves consumed it. Then I saw them, outlines of figures etched against the far wall. Not paintings, not statues, but something else entirely. They were darker than the surrounding darkness, a deeper shade of black that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. I stood frozen as the figures began to move, their forms undulating like smoke. A whisper filled the air, a susurrus of voices so soft I thought I might have imagined them. But then they grew, a cacophony of whispers, each one repeating a single, chilling word: leave. Panic set in, a primal urge to flee from something wholly unnatural. I turned to run, but my flashlight flickered, casting erratic shadows across the walls. As I ascended the stairs, the whispers grew louder, angrier. The door at the top, which I had left ajar, slammed shut with a force that shook the walls. I threw myself against it, but it wouldn't budge. The whispers turned to screams, a sound so terrifying it seemed to scrape against my bones. I felt something cold brush against my back, a touch that burned like ice. With a desperate strength born of pure fear, I slammed once more against the door. It flew open and I stumbled out into the night, the screams still echoing behind me. Outside, the world seemed too still, the night air too calm. I didn't look back as I ran from the house that should not be. When I reached the safety of my own home, I locked the doors and collapsed against them, my breath ragged, my body trembling. But even now, as I write this, the feeling of being watched has not left me. Sometimes when the house is silent and the night presses against the windows of my room, I hear it, the faintest whisper, carried on the wind. I realize then that the night provides the perfect solace to those hiding from the light.